Hi guys, I hope I'm audible. I think we can give like 5 minutes to get to good quorum. Other than that, I hope. Hi Eric, you well?
Yes, I am well. Yeah, we can just give them a few minutes and see if they'll join.
Okay.
Uh,
Right, it's exactly 6:10. I think we can get started. The others will find us kick started. We will also share the recording for anyone who misses the session and would love to catch up. I would love to introduce myself first before I hand it over to my colleague. My name is Grace Muchinda. I handle community management at Zindua School. Um, I'm not sure if everyone here has been able to interact with us before, but if this is your first time, Zindua School is a coding school. We are located in Lavington. We major in two courses, that is software engineering and data science. We also have other short courses and specialization courses. Other than that, we love giving back to the community through campus initiatives and high school initiatives. Because we are almost getting to the end of the year. We have slowed down on high school and campus initiatives, so we are not going in person, but we are doing the sessions online. We would love to visit your school maybe next year for the in-person initiatives. Major thank you to Eric for making this happen. So for today, in regards to the topic of the day, building a career in the software pathway. The speaker of the day is called Sonia. She is a technical mentor at Zindua School. She also mentors in the software engineering space. She will be gracing us today. So without further ado, I don't want to waste much time. I will hand it over to her, and then she can take us through the session. In case you have any questions as she speaks, you can be sure to drop them on the chat. All right. Hi, Sonia. You can hear me?
Hi, Grace. Thank you for that. We're just going to get started. So, hi, everyone. As you've heard, I am Sonia, Imogen Sonia, and I'm a technical mentor at Zindua School. I mentor students through the full stack development. We're just going to get to know all about that in the next few minutes. But yeah, so I'm just going to share my screen. I hope you can all see my screen. You can just give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. If you're able to, or any reaction. Anyone? Okay, thank you for that. So we're just going to get started on all about software. So what I do, I mentor students through software engineering or software development. They mean two different things, but some people use them interchangeably. So, but I'm just going to explain. So a software engineer uses the logic or uses code to solve like world or problems around you, or they use code to solve problems that are in your space or whatever area that you are in. But a software developer mostly just codes. You develop maybe a website, you develop something. So an engineer uses that code to solve a problem. A developer mostly comes up with code and writes a lot of code. It may be with a purpose, or I don't want to say without a purpose, but yeah, if you understand what I mean. So, as an engineer, you want to use tech or you want to use coding to grow or to shape whatever is around you. So that is what you're going to be doing. You want to solve problems using code. You just don't want to learn how to code or how to type a program, or how to, like, it's not all about coding. Anyone, we always say that anyone can code. If you wanted to, you would. Like right now, AI can code, but does it solve the problems that we have? Can it solve problems on its own? Can it come up with solutions? So yeah. So in Zindua, we have like things that we take you through. There's designing, programming, deploying, and maintaining. So we don't just teach you how to code or how to write code. We teach you how to write that code, how to work in a team, because when you're writing code, you're not just writing code alone. How are you going to be working in a team of other developers? How are you going to be reading that code? Are you able to, you yourself as a developer, are you able to provide code that is also readable to people around you? You as a developer, are you able to work with other people? Now you become a geek. We don't want you to become like a geek who is always in the house all the time just coding. No, we want you to also explore areas around you, and also be aware of, like, have a mindset of figuring out or looking for problems and then trying to solve them in a technical perspective. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you the structure of the software applications that we in Zindua take you through. So we start with the front end. The front end, we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then its framework, which is React. So we start like with the foundation, which is HTML, CSS, just how to build like a web page, how to grow in your skills. And trust me, you think that HTML, CSS is just like the simplest form of coding, but you can do amazing things with just HTML, CSS. Right now, CSS is like so powerful. If you read about CSS, there's so much you can do with it. You can create like a web page that has moving parts. It may not be as functional if you do not add JavaScript, but it can be spectacular if you just master the art of CSS. And then we take you through, once you have learned about HTML, CSS, we are also introducing Figma. There's someone whose their mic is on. Carissa, your mic is on. Thank you. So like I was saying, we take you through HTML, CSS, and now we have introduced Figma. So we don't want you just to build websites that are usable by you alone, because these websites are going to be used by other people. You want to consider, what do they like? What do they want to see in their webpage? Do they want to navigate through 10 pages before they get what they're looking for? Or do they want to get straight to the point immediately? Or do you want to take them through some games? So you think about the UI, that is what they see. And then you also consider the UX, that is the experience the user has. Because you as the developer, you're coding knowing what you're coding, you know how to navigate the web page. But the user, who is an outsider or an external participant, when they use your website, are they able to navigate the way you expect them to? Because you as the developer, you have to create code that is usable by people. So we're also introducing Figma just before you get to JavaScript, so that even while you get to JavaScript and now start looking at the functionalities and the interactiveness, you are already considering the user who is going to be using your web page. And when looking at the user, you also have to consider their age. Are they able to see what is in your web page? The colors, are they receivable? Such kind of thing is what we're also introducing in that Figma. And then once we finish we just introduced Figma is like a 1 week or 2 days kind of class. And then now we go to JavaScript. Now you learn about the functionalities, the interactiveness that you can add to your web page. How am I able to scroll and it takes me there, or such kind of things. And then now you get to the framework of JavaScript, which is React. So we teach you React. And then, so once you're done with React, that is now you're completed with front end. So that is the end of front end. And then we usually have a project after each module. So after HTML and CSS, those two are a module together. You do a project so that we can see the skills that you have. And in Zindua, we are big on projects. So every week you have a project, because how are you going to learn? This is a technical course. You can't just learn by theory alone. So we want to test how much you've understood. And the best way to understand or to range if you have understood, it's by the projects that you do. So with the projects, you're even able to now practice what you've learned. It may have seemed like it was simple learning it, but doing, now you get to understand how it's done better. Or you may have thought that it was hard, the theory part, but while doing it, you even understand that, wow, this is not that hard. So after every week, you have a project. Those are the weekly projects. And then after each module, there's a project you do, and then that one requires presentation. So you need to present what you have done so that we can range and see if you're able to move on to the next module. So once you're done with React, you do a front-end capstone project just to see how much have you understood. Have you understood HTML, CSS, the Figma, the design, and then JavaScript and React? And then that's the end of front end. Then we come to backend. Our backend consists of Python and Django. So Python is the base of the backend that we have, and then Django is its framework. So that is what we have in the backend. Once you are done with backend, now you do a capstone project. Your capstone project includes both front end and backend. So you build a project that has React as the front end, and its backend is Django, because these are the frameworks. The React framework has a lot of JavaScript, so we're testing you on JavaScript on that, but it's its framework. And then Django uses Python, so we're also testing on that. So we test on those frameworks, because once you have understood the frameworks, you also understood the foundation, which is JavaScript or Python. You do a project that the front end is React and the back end uses Django. Once you're completed with that, you just don't end there. So in each of these modules, we show you how to deploy, how to make your project go live. So when we are teaching you in Zindua, we tell you that these projects that you do are your experiences, how you write in your resume or CV. This is the experience that you have. Like this website that you build, that is your website, and you're the one who built it, and you are the one experiencing how to build it and grow. So that is what we tell you, that you can keep on growing on it and developing it even better once you understand even the next module and the next one, so that even when someone sees your CV or your GitHub or your LinkedIn, they can tell this person has really been coding and they have been growing. So we teach you how to deploy so that your project is even available without anyone having code. You can just Google and you find it, such kinds of things. And yeah, so why do you even, this is like the reasons why you can learn software. So with software, you have jobs. Like there's so many job opportunities with software, like the big tech companies. Think of things like M-Pesa app, TikTok algorithms, or such kind of things. So that uses software. So it is like a smart move in terms of job opportunities. And now demand. Every business is becoming a tech business. Even that mama mboga anataka aingie online. like their a CUEA website, you know, they want to be out there. That local supermarket, if you tell them you want to create for them a website, they want to be out there because they know in the internet is where everyone is. So the demand is hot. And then you can start a tech business. So with the good thing about learning both front end and back end, you can decide you want to specialize on one area. You can decide you want to be a front end developer or just a back end developer. Or you can decide to be a full stack developer. So a full stack developer has both. You have both front end and back end. And with full stack developer, you are a whole team yourself. So you can do the front end part and the back end part. So we say you're a one man team, or I think it goes something like that. So you can start your own tech-based business. You see, there's freedom. You can become a freelancer. There's freedom in this area. And now, to improve productivity, there's always area to grow. There's always room for improvement. There's always an opportunity to grow. It never gets boring when it comes to software or programming. It never gets boring. There's always an opportunity. If you're an engineer, you can always find a way to integrate software in engineering. If you are a nurse, there's always a way you can find a way to integrate software in nursing. If you're a farmer, there's always a way that you can integrate software in that area that you are in. So there's always an opportunity for you to either grow, for as long as you have the mindset that you have a broad mindset. And now to get to that, the broad mindset. In Zindua, we don't just teach you about programming, like I said. So we teach you about, so this is the curriculum that we have. It is a 30-week curriculum, or let's say like 6 months at least. Okay. So the additional benefits that we have career development. So once you are done with your course, the one that you're taking, we take you through a career development course. So we teach you how to build your resume, how to handle technical interviews, how to brand yourself, how to create your portfolio, how to sell yourself out there. Because you might have the skills, but you don't know how to sell yourself, like people don't know you. So how are you even gonna get those jobs that are very available? So we teach you how to do that, how to write the resumes, how to brand yourself, how to create the portfolios, how to handle the technical interviews. Another way that we teach you how to handle technical interviews, we give you like a short course. It's called Data Structures and Algorithms, DSA. That is what most of the technical interviews, they tend to ask around that area of data structures and algorithm. No one is gonna ask you how to write HTML, CSS. No one is gonna tell you write a JavaScript line or create a website. Not really. But they want to see, are you someone who is able to solve problems? When you're given this problem, how do you approach it? How do you solve it? Like, what is your thought process? See? And with DSA, you are able now to broaden your mind. You're able to expand your mind. You're challenged to think outside your box, outside the normal way that you usually think. You're challenged to think outside. And that is what will help you navigate and be able to handle the technical interviews. Okay? So that is what us as Zindua offer in the software engineering program. Anyone who has a question in that, we're going to do like a short code lab that I'm going to show you, like a test of what you can do. But for now, anyone who has a question, please feel free to ask, even if it's not related to what you're talking about, but it will be good if you something related. But that is the kind of thing you'll be doing in Zindua engineering program. Anyone has a question? Okay, if no one has a question, I'm just going to demonstrate a short code on things that you can do if you're a software developer. Let me use software engineer. Okay. So this is just going to be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, just a short line. So we start with HTML. I'm going to create a website. We just maybe a code generator. Okay, so we're just going to create something simple. Then you can let me know. I don't know if you want to code together with me, or I just show you and then you can try out something. Not sure. What are you thinking? Okay, nice. Okay, good. Okay, for anyone who is following, I'll just try not to rush. Yeah. So we can continue. So for this just what I've done, it's like a shortcut of writing your HTML foundation. So you just write exclamation mark and then enter, and then it will just write for you all that. And then you can get started. There's no need of staying there mastering HTML language. Well, this is a simple way to do that. So for our title, we can just say it's a quote generator. And then we can have here a H1. And in our heading, we can just say, welcome to the quote. Okay. And once I have the H1, we can have like a simple div. So a div is like a container. It's like a good way of adding a container without having like more code, if you understand what I mean. So this can be called the quote books. So like that, I've created a container and I've not added like so many. Good. And then inside my quote box, I can have my paragraph that will, you can also give it an ID and call it quotes, where I have my quote to appear. So you can say click below to show quotes, because we want this to get, okay. Then we can have a button. So if you just write the element that you want and then enter, just finishes for you. Then on click, we're going to create a function. So for that, I'll just leave it at that. And then my button, it will be called get, maybe something like get inspired, something like that. So here on click, I'll just add the function that we're going to create. So we can add, let me just clear this. We can add some JavaScript code over here that we're going to use in our HTML. So here we can have something like, just going to have like a simple fetch function. So async function, it's called get quote. So this is a file. So you just go here, click on new file, create your file. So this is like a simple fetch function. So we're using async to create our fetch function, and then we can create here a variable called response. And our response, await, we want to fetch. We want to fetch from somewhere that we can get like the quotes. There's this one that is usually free. What is it called? Let me see. Just Google it. HTTPS. API. This one. .com.advice. Yeah. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm also going to add it to the chat so it's available. That is where we're going to get our link, our API, or our quotes from. So that is what I'm going to add here. Okay, then to display it, we're also just going to say another variable called data, because whatever we receive here is in parse format. So we're just going to convert it. So we're going to await response.json. So this is just to convert whatever response we get here. We convert it to JSON and then place it in a variable called data. So that's the work of that. And then we're going to use something called the DOM. So for the DOM, we look at the hierarchy of our web page. So we usually start from the document. The document, like from this, it's a doc type, so meaning it's a document of type HTML. So HTML is the root foundation, and then from the root we have like the head and the body. The head has title, the body now has everything else. Okay, so it starts from the document, then the HTML as the root. So how we access these elements that are here, we access it starting from document. So document.get element, we're going to use by ID because we've been adding ID to our elements. Like our container, the div has ID called quote box. Our paragraph has an ID called quote. Yeah. So we want to access our paragraph because that is where we're going to be displaying the quotes. So we can say by ID, our paragraph was called quote. So the ID is quote. I'll just write it here. And then dot inner text, because we're trying to change. Instead of it saying click below to show quote, we want it to replace this with now the quote that we want it to be changing. So inner text and then equal to, so now we want it to display whatever quotes or whatever advice we're going to be getting from this API. So here we use backticks. Backticks is, do you see the button below escape? The button below escape, that is where you can access the backticks. And then you add $sign, then curly braces, data, because we have placed it in a variable called data dot sleep dot advice. So that is how you get like the quotes from this API. Okay, and I'm going to put this in quotes and do like that. Good. I don't even know if I need this. Okay, to just have that instead. And then we can also, yeah, that can be it. So for this, we can just now use this get quote because that is the name of our function. To add this JavaScript file to our HTML, I'm just going to add it here, like script, and then the source is script.js, the name of this file. So now that we have added our JavaScript file to the HTML, here the button on click is going to get quote, the function that we have created. Yeah, so this get quote is what we're adding here on our button. And yeah, now we can test it and see. So I'm just going to run my server. So that is what we have. We have not styled it using CSS, but this is what you have. So if I click get inspired, it will show me you'll always regret the round of whatever that word is. You can click again to get inspired. Do or do not. There is no try. Yeah, very true. It's either you do or you do not. So we can just add some styling just to see how it can look like if you added some styling to it. Any questions so far before we continue? You can just leave a chat or just unmute and ask. Yeah. So to add some styling, we need to add a file called style.css. Yeah. So in our style, we usually start with the body because that's like the meaning of CSS means cascading style sheets, meaning that whatever styles you have, they're going to be cascaded down there. The other elements, we call them the children elements. Yeah. We can just start by changing the font family so we have a better one. I don't know which one you prefer. Let's see, we can use that one. Just choose a random one. You can have text align and then just center it. We also can add some background color to our body. You can have maybe, so you can choose this, but as you can see the color here, there's also this, the hex numbers. So the hex, if you try and just go to any random website or web page, maybe I want this red, or let me see, which website do I like? Any, let me see, Udemy. I just want to see a random color so that we can get that color. Okay, let me choose this purple. This purple is so cute. So I'll just right click and maybe want that color. So you use this arrow over here. So if I use that arrow, it tells me the color is, okay, this one has not given me a hex. They're very rude. Do not give me a hex number. Font color. It's like, really? Oh, this one is the hex color. So it's hash 2A 2A 2B 3F. Let's try that one. So you can see hash 2A 2B 3F. Okay, that's not very accurate. Let me try again. 2A 2B 3F. Okay, that should be the color. Yeah, so that's how you can get like random colors if you go to a website and you don't know which color is that. So you can just get it that easily. Let's see if there's any other color. Man, they are very stingy with their colors, but that's okay. But that's how you can do it. So you can change the color whichever you want. So if I just click here, I can also just adjust to any other color that I am interested in. But we can use this color. We can use 121 to 12, something like that. So these are just colors. Okay. So we can also add the color of our text. You can just say it's white, like that. That's also just a simple way of adding. We can also add some padding. This is like some space. We can add like, let's say 50. We're going to see how that one looks like. I've not closed. Oh, yeah. So if we just go back to our web page and reload, there's not much difference because it's just the body that we were changing. But also make sure if you go to your file, the autosave is on. Make sure this is on so that you can see the changes happening while you are editing. Okay, so we can also change something. If you want to change like the quote box, this div or the container I told you about, because it's a ID, you just use hash and then the name of that. So it's a quote box, and then we can change something like the background color for that, and you can use this one, 1E, 1E, 1E. Yeah, looks like it's black, the same. Wait, why did my body not change color here? Let me try this again. Oh, I know why. Because we have not linked our CSS to our HTML. So to link it, you come and write link. Okay. Then under the href, you write the name of your CSS file, like that. So now we can do this again. Okay, good. Now we can see some changes. So this one looks a little bit better, right? But is it as good as we want? Not yet. So we still have a lot of styling to do. So let me just add some more styling. Let me make this a little bit gray, like that, so that we can see how that. Good. Now you can see it's visible. Okay, that is still not enough. So we can continue editing. We have changed the background color. We can add some padding because there is no much space inside that box. You can add like 20 px. You can keep editing as you check. You see, that one looks a little bit better, right? Yeah. Then we can add some borders. Is that a question? What's the difference between using hash and just leaving it blank? Like hash body, dot body, and body. Okay. So for the hash, it's only used for ID. So like here, my div has an ID called quote box. So because this is an ID, I have to use hash to like access this div, the container div, using ID. So in CSS, we have like selectors. What are you going to use like to select the specific element so that you can style it? So you can access using ID. For ID, it's because it's unique. So because this container is called a div box, you can have several divs, but because you want to access specifically this one, you use hash quote box. For the body, here I wrote just body and then curly braces because it's the name of the element. So if I want to access this h1 using the element name, I can just say h1. Okay. If it's the div, this div without using the ID, I can just come here and say div. Okay. Yeah. But because you might have several elements like that, sometimes you use the ID or the class. So for here, I've seen you've asked about the dot body. So the dot is used if there is a class. So in here in the paragraph or in my H1, for class is used to like group elements. ID is for uniqueness. So you just want this to be unique to that element. For class, I can have here a class called heading. So that I can access the H1 using the class, I'm going to say dot heading. So dot heading, like that. So the dot is for class, the hash is for ID, and then the name of the element, you just write the name of the element without that. Okay. I hope I've answered your question. Okay, so here we can add some border radius. You're going to see what the border radius does. We can add like 20 pixels. So as you can see here, it's like, it looks like curved, looks curvy. So that is the work of the border radius. And then this width is too big. We can add some width here and just give it like, we can say we want it to be like, let's say 60%, or you can use percentage or pixels. Yeah, so that one is better. At least it has reduced the size, but we also need to make it centered a bit. So we're also going to say margin. Margin, we can make it auto, something like that. And then there's something like, we can also style the button that we had. So for auto, we've just made sure that the margin on all the sides are equal. Okay, so that it automatically reshapes. So we can also style our button. So as you can see for the button, because I've used the name of the element, I'm just using it directly. Okay, yeah. And my button also does not have like a, we can also add a class so that we can see how we style this one. It's called btn. So here, instead of just writing button, I can come and write dot btn. Okay, yeah. So for the button, I can style maybe the margin top or margin something. Did we get inspired? So yeah, we can style margin top and give it like 10 pixels, something like that. As you can see, it has moved. We can also just add some padding. So padding is like within the button, or margin is like the outside space. So for example, for this button, inside the white get inspired, padding is going to space inside that white space. Margin is spacing, like it's adding space outside the button. Okay, so for padding, we can just say we want to add some 10 pixels and maybe 20 pixels. As you can see, the button is now bigger. So we have added space to the left and to the top. So the 10 pixels is going to add space on the top and bottom. Then the 20 pixel is going to add space on the sideways, the left and the right. Okay. Then we can have some background on our button. We can have, let's say, 00. What can we say? Okay, so let's see that color. That color is awfully off. So let's choose another one and make it a little bit darker, something like that. Better. And then because now we cannot see our text, so we can just come and add and say color, want it to be white. Okay. And then our button looks off, so we can add some, you can see now like it has some grooves, so we can just add some border radius. so that it looks cuter. So border radius and say maybe 8 pixels or 4 or 6. Yeah, that one looks better, right? Definitely. So that is for our button, and then our button right now, it's when you hover through the button, it just shows a pointer. So if you want to change that pointer to like the one that looks like a finger, you can just say cursor, and then we want to change it to a pointer. So now if I hover inside the button, you see it changes to like a finger-like image. Okay, so that is for that. You can also add some interesting interactivity with just CSS. We can say button and then hover. So this is called a pseudo class or a pseudo element. The hover, the full colon and then hover. So if we add, we can say we want to change the background and give it something. That one is dark, so we can give it like something light. So now if I hover, it changes to pink. We hover, pink. We can also change the color inside so that when this changes to pink, the color changes to black. You can say black. So now if I hover, it's the background is pink, but the text is black. Okay, and now when you click, you can see the text. Hold the door open for the next person. Yeah, please do. If it still itches after a week, go to the doctor. That's funny. But yeah, that is what you can do with HTML, CSS, and just that's like simple. But you can see here we have like 4 lines of code. In JavaScript, you have like 7. Yet and you this space and this space. So this is 5 lines of code. HTML has like also 5. CSS and we're gonna a lot. 26. But yeah, you're all set. And it's also fun because you get to see as things change. If you want to change this to a different color, you're able to. If you want, when I click on this button, the background also changes. You can also do that. We can try and add that. So in our JavaScript, you can add something like just here outside the document, you can say want to document dot get. We want to access, we want to access the styles. So to access the styles, you can say we want the body, and then we want to access the style. And what do we want to change? You can say the background color. So that is what we want to change. What do you want it to be equal to? So here you can add like there's also math in this. So we can say we want to change the hash. The hash is the hexagon, the hex colors. So we want to change the hash, and then not change, like the way we are writing this hash and then the numbers. If you want to make it random, the only thing that you're going to be changing is these numbers here. The hash stays. So that is what we are doing. So the hash is there, and then we are going to add. So you put a plus sign and then say math dot floor, that floor, and then you can say that we want to make it random. So math dot random, and that's our method. So we want to make it random. So I'm just going to put this here so that you can see it clearly. So the hash math dot floor, math dot random, and then we want, this is like a formula, you want to multiply that to, it's usually a very huge number. Let me find it. Oh, okay, here it is. So we can say we multiply to 167, 77215. I think that's it. 167, 77, 215. Yeah. So you multiply with that, then this should not be here. Okay. And then we're going to change this to string, because now you want it to be like a string in string format, and that is how you change it. And want it to be in like, you want to specify. So if I hover, you can see it specifies the radix or the converting numerical values, because it's a hex, and hex is like this. So now if I go to my web page and click on get inspired, the whole body and the background changes, you see. So no brand is your friend. If I click again, it changes, because now we have randomized it. Never run a marathon in Crocs. There it, you will not win. Okay, that is the short code lab that we have. If you want to see the code, I can always send it and make it available for you. But yeah, I hope you can see what you can do with software engineering. It's fun, but like I said, we're not just want to use it for fun. You can use it for fun, but yeah, that's all that I have. Anyone who has a question, please feel free to ask. But that's all from me. Any question? If it's code related, if you're curious about anything, this is the chance to ask. Otherwise, on my end, I am done. Anyone? Okay, if you do not have like a question, at least comment or give me a reaction. If it was okay, give me a reaction. Did I talk about the prices of the course? No, I did not talk about the prices of the course. So, okay, I not thought of that. Let me just show you a slide that has the prices of the course. Let me open that, then I will share my screen. Okay, let me reshare my screen. So these are the pricing options that we have. So the core programs, but the core programs, and software engineering is one of the core programs. We have the one time, we try and make it as flexible as possible, because we always say that you need to learn fast, and then money can come later, because knowledge is key. So the one time upfront, if you're paying like once, it's 125. That is the one time fee. If it's in 2 installments, it's 65 every 2 months. For 3 installments, we have 45 every 7 weeks. If you pay in 4 installments, it's 35. If you pay in 5 installments, it's 29. So the more the installments you have, the higher the pricing for you, but it's flexible. And then we have the FlexiPay. This is for the lead core pricing options. So for the one-time upfront payment, it's like 75 If it's in 2 installments, it's 39. And then we also have the flexi payment plan, which is the Lipa Mdogo Mdogo, which is 13,750. Yeah. So those are our financing options. Yeah. And for our classes, we try and make them as small as possible. So you can have like a class of 10 people, because we always consider the personalization, because we want you to have like more personalized learning experience. There's no need of having a class full of 20 people and you're not even able to ask whatever you want to ask, or you're not able to even have a time with your TM. So the TM is the technical mentor. So yeah. I see these are okay. Thank you. I don't know if Eric, you have anything you'd like me to talk about or anything to add, but yeah, I am done on my end. Eric,
Yes.
do you have anything you'd like to add?
On my end, no, I don't have anything to add.
Okay,
I'm
thank you, Eric. So like, it was lovely to meet you guys. If you have any questions, you can always Slack me. I can just leave here. You want to join our WhatsApp community or our Slack? Let me just share my screen so that you can maybe scan. You can also just visit zinduaschool.com and have more information there. Let me just type here. zinduaschool.com. Yeah. And this is for the WhatsApp community. You can just scan to join that community. And also that is for our Slack community. Otherwise, it was lovely to meet you all and have a wonderful night. Bye. For those who the link is not working, I'll just communicate with Grace and Eric to send you like a link so that you can join the WhatsApp group. Okay. And you're very much welcome, guys.
Okay, so Sonia, if I just may ask,
Yes.
is it just the same community link that we all have, or there's another one that's to be shared for them?
I'm not sure. I'll ask Grace so that she can confirm. If there's a different one, I'll just tell her to send. But if you're already there, then I think it's that one. We don't have another separate one.
Okay, so let me just see if I can share it with them here.
Okay.
Okay, I think she'll just have to send me the link. So, okay.
But you can just send it on the chat.
No, if you have the link on my end, I can't see the link. So maybe just wait for Grace to share.
Okay, I'll make sure that she shares the link. Is that okay?
No problem. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Bye. Have a good night as well.